Are you ready for Matthew 13? In this chapter we'll see a lot of stories. They're called parables. It's almost like a riddle, but there's always a message in the story. Some of these stories are the most amazing stories you will ever hear. But nevertheless, at about the same time, Jesus left the house and sat on the beach. In no time at all, the crowd had gathered along the shoreline, forcing him to get into a boat. Using the boat as a pulpit, he addressed the congregation, telling stories. Jesus goes on to say in verse 3, "What do you make of this? A farmer planted seed. As he scattered the seed, some of it fell on the road, and the birds ate it. Some fell in the gravel. It sprouted quickly, but didn't put down roots. When the sun came up, it withered just as quickly. Some fell in with the weeds. As it came up, it was strangled by the weeds. Some fell on the good earth and produced a harvest beyond his wildest dreams." Are you listening to this? Really listening? The disciples came up and asked Jesus, "Why'd you tell stories?" He replied, "You've been given insight into God's kingdom. You know how it works. Not everybody has this gift, this insight. It hasn't been given to them. Whenever someone has a ready heart for this, the insights and understandings flow freely. But there is no readiness. Any chance of receptivity soon disappears. That's why I tell you the stories, to create a readiness, to nudge the people towards a welcome awakening. In their present state, they can stare till doomsday and not see it, till they're blue in the face and not get it. I don't want Isaiah's forecast repeated all over again." Jesus says in verse 14, "Your ears are open, but you don't hear a thing. Your eyes are awake, but you don't see a thing." The people are stupid. They stick their fingers in their ears so they won't have to listen. They screw their eyes shut so they won't have to look. So they won't have to deal with me face to face. And let me heal them. But you have God-blessed eyes that see, and God-blessed ears that hear. A lot of people, prophets and humble believers among them, would have given anything to see what you're seeing, to hear what you're hearing, but never had the chance. It's verse 18 and 19. Jesus says, "Study this story of the farmer planting the seed. When anyone hears the news of the kingdom and doesn't take it in, it just remains on the surface. And so the evil one comes along and plucks it right out of that person's heart. This is the seed the farmer scatters on the road." And this is verse 20. The seed cast in the gravel. This is the person who hears and instantly responds with enthusiasm. But there's no soil of character. And so, when the emotions wear off and some difficulty arrives, there's nothing to show for it. The seed cast with the weeds is the person who hears the kingdom news, but the weeds of worry and illusion about getting more and wanting everything under the sun strangle what was heard, and nothing comes out. Verse 23. The seed cast on the good earth is the person who hears and takes in the news and then produces a harvest beyond his wildest dreams. 24. God's kingdom is like a farmer who planted a good seed in his field. That night, while his hired men were asleep, his enemy sowed thistles all through the wheat and slipped away before dawn. When the first green shoots appeared and the grain began to form, the thistles showed up too. The farmhands came to the farmer and said, "Master, that was clean seed you planted, wasn't it? Where did the thistles come from?" He answered, "Some enemy did this." Verse 28, he says, the farmhands asked, Should we weed out the thistles? He said. No. If you weed out the thistles, you'll pull up the wheat too. Let them grow together until harvest time. Then I'll instruct the harvesters to pull out the thistles and bundle them up for the fire. Then gather the wheat and put it in the barn. Verse 31, we see Jesus spend a day of telling stories. God's kingdom is like an acorn a farmer plants. It is quite small, as seeds go, but in the course of years it grows into a huge and mighty oak tree, and eagles build nests in it. God's kingdom is like yeast that a woman works into the dough for dozens of loaves of barley bread and waits while the dough rises. All Jesus did that day was tell stories. A long storytelling afternoon. His storytelling fulfilled the prophecy. I will open my mouth and tell stories. I will bring out into the open things hidden since the world's first day. Jesus dismissed the congregation and went into the house. His disciples came in and said, "Explain to us the story of the thistles in the field." Verse 37, Jesus says, "The farmer who sows pure seeds is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the pure seeds are the subjects of the kingdom. The thistles are the subjects of the devil." Okay? The enemy who sows them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age. The curtain of history. The harvest hands, the angels. Verse 40, Jesus says, "The picture of thistles pulled up and burned is a scene from the final act. The Son of Man will send his angels and weed out the thistles from this kingdom, pitch them in the trash, and be done with them. They are going to complain to the high heaven, but nobody is going to listen. At the same time, ripe, holy lives will mature and adorn the kingdom of their Father." Are you listening? Are you really listening? Verse 44, Jesus says, "God's kingdom is like treasure hidden in a field for years, and then accidentally found by a trespasser. The finder is ecstatic. What find? And proceeds to sell everything he owns to raise money to buy the field." Or God's kingdom is like a jewel merchant on the hunt for exquisite pearls. Finding one that is flawless, he immediately sells everything and buys it. Verse 47, Jesus says, "Or God's kingdom is like a fishnet cast into the sea, catching all kinds of fish. When it's full, it's hauled back onto the beach. The good fish are picked out and put in a tub, but those unfit to eat are thrown away." That's how it will be when curtains come down on history. The angels will come and cull the bad fish, throw them in the garbage. There will be a lot of desperate complaining, but it won't be any good. Are you starting to get a handle on all of this? Verse 52, Jesus says, "Then you see how every student well trained in God's kingdom is like the owner of a general store, who can put his hands on anything you need, old or new, exactly when you need it." In verse 53, you see, when Jesus had finished telling these stories, he left there and returned to his hometown and gave a lecture in the meeting house. He stole the show, impressing everyone. "We had no idea he was this good," people said. "How did he get so wise? Get such ability?" But in the next breath they were cutting him down. "We've known him since he was a kid. He's the carpenter's son," they said. "We even know his mother, Mary, and his brothers, James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas. All his sisters live here. Who does he think he is?" they said. And they all got bent out of shape. But Jesus replied, "A prophet is taken for granted in his hometown and his family." Jesus didn't do many miracles because of the hostile indifference. How many of you, when trying to keep up the positive, get reminded of who you are, or where you've been, or what others have seen? But as Jesus says, focus on today Let tomorrow worry about its own problems. So with that in mind, keep up the positive.